think. Yeah.
Absolutely. Um,
Speaking of Super Bowl,
yeah.
your girl Beyonce was in
Yes.
an ad. How big of a bag did Verizon drop?
Ooh, listen. I don't know who your cell phone provider is, but I bet money if it's Verizon, it's gonna go up another $20 to $30 next month. They got to cover that. They
They're gonna
ran
have a
her ad
note.
twice.
They're gonna have a note in the whenever they do their quarterly report for their shareholders. Like, we took a hit this with our promotional budget. A couple million here or there gone missing.
And you'll see a Beyonce tax on your bill on your statement. Like
Just a
little,
certain percentage.
yeah,
See, that would be a real move. Is like, no, I don't want an upfront fee. You're gonna add 1% for the next year to everybody's cell phone bill.
you know what's crazy? If she would have done a deal with Verizon 15 years ago, 10
Yeah.
years ago, that would have came with a
Yeah.
phone. It would have been like a Beyonce phone, like a pink or a silver, like a silver iPhone.
You remember the ESPN phone?
No.
Oh
Vaguely.
man.
Hold on. Vaguely, they just jarred.
I could see that memory just like escape from your head.
Of course, Vice has a. No, that's just yeah. Oh, from Sprint, ESPN built an entire business on creating a wireless service specifically for sports nuts who would have to buy a special phone on which they could receive score updates, launch Gamecasts, browse ESPN.com content, and a host of other features.
Yeah.
They would pay $300 for the phone itself and then between $65 and $225 per month for content.
Crazy.
Jesus.
And that was on a flip phone. They were too early.
Too early. That's all that is.
They ended that service September of 2006. 4 months later, the iPhone is introduced on stage. They were too early.
Too early. And I'm sure they got wind. Like something's coming from Apple.
I mean, they knew that stuff was coming, but that was a little too early. Man, you remember when flip phones be like, oh yeah, you can go on the internet. If you hit that internet button, you were hitting end as soon as possible because you were terrified of what that was going to do to your bill.
Absolutely. Damn, I forgot about that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was
we sound like the oldest men alive.
That was like the porn area in the video store. Like that was behind the little curtains.
Yeah.
Like you knew. Like don't go back there. That's a forbidden. You're 10 years old. Don't go.
I don't think I ever went to a video store that had that.
Been in a lot of video
because
stores.
my video stores were either on the military base, like the little cheap one.
Yeah, you're not gonna get those there.
No, or Blockbuster, where you're not gonna get that.
You're not gonna get.
What was
the
competitor to Blockbuster? Why can't
Hollywood.
I think of that? There was Hollywood Video. Was there another one? There might have been. I can't remember.
And then like locally, you had like there's like some family videos and stuff like that. Like
yeah.
We actually had a family video here in Columbus that just shut down like 3 years ago.
Wow.
It's like no, that was a front. Y'all was selling drugs out of there. You can't convince me of anything different. But yeah,
I love when I drive past businesses and I'm just like, there's no way.
There's no way
in this location you're staying in business.
Absolutely.
With that. No,
absolutely,
no chance.
Yeah, I'm like, yo, who's selling like ceramic tile year round, or who's selling vases?
There's a place around I don't know, like maybe a 5-minute walk from my house, right? Like on the other side of the highway from my house, that it's a mattress store.
Mm-hmm.
By appointment. You got a call to go in.
Oh, that just means they hiding coke in the. I listen to way too many Pusha T rhymes. They just hiding coke in it. That just means you got to cut open the mattress and it's in there.
And if you drive past, all you see are just random mattresses like thrown about. I'm like, what is this place? How is this a business?
A front for drugs.
Yeah,
100%. Absolutely. But yeah, that would have come. That Verizon deal would have come with a silver iPhone
with the Beyonce phone.
Absolutely, 100%. But now
it probably would have. Yeah, now it comes with. Actually, it used to be that people would like kind of frown on like major celebrities. Like if you were doing advertising like this, it was almost like whoa. But that all shifted like maybe 10 years or so ago. Now there's no shame, so everyone's doing it.
Yeah, you want to be on a Super Bowl commercial.
And that Super Bowl commercial is the beginning of the Act 2 rollout.
I'm 0 for 2 this year. I said 21 Savage and Beyonce. Like, yeah, they're gonna take a break this year. No, they're
No,
not. Like, I'm like
no, they're
worried.
not.
I'm worried about Beyonce's health. She talked about her body, her knees, having complications from childbirth and pregnancy. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like you're going crazy hard on this Renaissance tour. Um, you're gonna chill. And she's like, no, you're wrong. I'm not gonna chill. Country album.
Well, remember, a lot of this music was all recorded like before. She's been
Mm-hmm.
sitting on this country
Sitting
stuff.
on this stuff. Absolutely.
So she might be able to take it a little easy for a while, sort of, right? She's not like finishing up music. I mean, I'm sure she's doing maybe a couple fixes or whatever, but like
Tweaks and stuff, yeah.
this music, from what I understand, is largely done and has been done. She's been waiting.
Mm-hmm.
So, here we go. It's Beyonce in her country era.
Mm-hmm.
2 records, Texas Hold'em and 16 Carriages.
Mm-hmm.
I assume you've heard both songs.
Pieces. I'm not a
Yeah.
country fan, so I'm probably gonna sit this one out.
Honestly, that's basically my take as well. So Texas Hold'em. So what's interesting to me about these records, like you look at who helped write and produce them. So Raphael Sadiq is helping with the writing, which is interesting. But the producers she's working with, they're more like on the pop side. She's not. It's a country album, but she didn't go like say, oh, let me go grab established country producers, or
George
let me go
Strait.
grab some up and. Listen, can she? She could sample All My Exes Live in Texas.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
She got to slow that down, sing do like a ballad, like really.
Well, I was thinking like a chopped and screwed.
Oh, chopped and screwed, yeah.
Yeah. She could. She's got to have your boy on there. What was his alter ego?
Oh, Chris Gaines.
Yeah, man. Beyonce, Chris Gaines duet. What?
So she's not working with anybody from the country world, and so we get 2 records. Texas Hold'em. I would describe it as twangy, jangly. Like it's seems. I'm gonna damn it with faint praise. Seems well produced for what it is, but I don't ever need to hear that song again. I will never. I don't. That's just not for me in any way, shape, or form. I grew up on country music. Like I was a child raised on 90s country music, but like no, I'm good. And the 16 Carriages, which is a country ballad, like in the vein, like there's a sort of a rich tradition of these like strong, emotional ballads from fiery, passionate women in country music. Almost a little bit of a trope, but not really. She's not going to trope. She's not really making it a trope, but like she's right in that pocket for this. I could see this kind of doing well. To me, it's the better of the 2. But I'm not gonna blast this, or I'm not gonna like be playing this. I'm not the audience for this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and I think like the fact that you and I, 2 people who were huge on Renaissance Act 1, we're sitting here basically saying, "Nah, I'm sitting this one out," gets me to what I think is the interesting part of this conversation, right?
Which is what?
I mean, I shouldn't be surprised because this is how fan bases work. It is so amazing to see in real time a fan base talk themselves into music that many of them up until 5 days ago did not care about.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So like it's not a surprise for Beyonce, but it's telling because like her fans are going to follow her wherever, because, and this is going to be in contrast to Kanye, just to spoil her a little bit. She's never let them down. When has Beyonce ever let her fans down? Like you could say the Lion King stuff was kind of they bought that, they bait that up too.
They at
but
least
like,
they hyped up those Disney Plus subscriptions to see the visuals.
But like whether it's Act 1, whether it's her self-titled album, whether it's Lemonade, like for her fan base, she has always delivered. So like they're just like, hey, we're showing up, we're ready. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So I'm not worried about her hardcore. I'm not worried about the Beehive. What I'm interested to see is what about the rest of the world?
Yeah. So
do they want to see a country album from Beyonce at all?
And I've seen her fan base, and I can't limit it to her fan base, but the conversation that has come up is the Black roots that country music have.
That's right.
And that these acts are a creative stand to take back music that has been that was rightfully black, because there are rumors that Act 3 is a rock album. So there was an infamous instance where someone, I guess, called up a radio station in, I believe, Oklahoma,
Yeah.
and requested to hear what was the name of the first song?
Texas Hold'em.
Texas Hold'em. Requested to hear Texas Hold'em, and they said, we don't play Beyonce. And of course, tweet goes viral. A screenshot of the tweet goes viral, which makes me say, like, okay, did this actually happen? That's always my thing. Like, if I see a screenshot and don't see the original tweet. And shortly thereafter, they put out another tweet saying, we're going to be playing Beyonce at the top of the hour. So
there was a bit of a controversy, or people trying to make it a controversy about how it was labeled on streaming services.
Yes.
So Armand, you submit stuff to streaming services.
Yes.
Does Apple Music decide what to label your music?
No.
No.
You get a primary category and a secondary category. It was labeled, the Beyonce album was labeled, or the Beyonce songs were labeled pop. And that has to be, that was done by either her record label or whoever is handling her music, be it her team or whatever. And Beyonce being who she is, I would be very surprised if she wasn't very direct and hands-on on how that music got uploaded. So maybe it was a mistake, maybe, because it doesn't make sense if you're making this very intentional stand that we're making a country album and then you upload it pop.
I think it does, actually.
Okay.
Because if you
I
upload
see
it as
where you're
pop,
going. What's up?
You upload it as pop. Mm-hmm. You're putting it in the world of pop playlists and things like that, right? You put it in country, and you're putting it in a world where truly, like, do you ever listen to country music? No,
never.
Do pop fans really listen to country music?
No.
Some of them, sure, but a lot of them, no, right? What you're doing is she's not trying to go. She did not make a record. You can see by who produced it, who helped write on it. She's going to make her version of country music.
Absolutely.
But she is not going to play by Nashville's rules. She's not going to use their producers. She's not going to use their songwriters, and she's not going to submit it to their place. She's going to make them come to her if she does it. But she's big. I mean, honestly, she's bigger than just country. That's the truth.
Absolutely.
Right? So she would be limiting her music by if she put it that way. You know what I mean?
So that kind of goes back. Does that relate to the Andre 3000 hip hop conversation that we had a few months ago? In a way,
how so?
Where we talked about, I said that the album was hip hop, and you said no, like hip hop has to have certain parameters in order for it to be hip hop. Otherwise, everything is hip hop, right?
Right.
So does this carry like a similar argument where?
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, if Beyonce makes it, does that necessarily mean it can't be just country? I mean, I don't really know. First of all, what is country music? Honestly, we've been having this conversation on this show sort of since, in a way, Old Town Road. Right? Is that country? I don't know. What is country? Can country be rap? I mean, there is rapping on some country records. Because this is the thing about, like, if it's true that, I don't know if this is what Beyonce believes, but that some fans think that, like, these acts are her reclaiming what were historically black music. The greatest success of black music is that it has become music. Mm-hmm. Right? We talked in the pre-show about the letter that Columbia Records sent to Big L's high school, and it says it's from somebody who's the head of marketing or something for what they call black music. Mm-hmm. It's not black music anymore.
Did you watch the We Are the World documentary?
I did not. On Netflix? Is it good?
It's cool. Easy watch. Cool. The best part of it is watching Michael Jackson's facial expressions while Huey Lewis and Cyndi Lauper try to, like, sing their parts. And watching, like, people come and go and leave and why they leave. It's an interesting watch. But like the American Music Awards, they had, like, the category was like
music.
best black artists. Yeah.
Right.
Which is crazy because Tyler, the creator's rant a few years ago when he won was, well, urban is, like a term for black.
I mean, I think that that's. No, I don't think he's wrong, right?
He's
They
not
got away
wrong.
from calling it black. They just called it urban radio.
So then it's like, well, I guess to bring it full circle, then what do you want? Do you want it to be called black music? Do you want it to be called urban music? Or do you just want it to be called music?
Right. I
But
mean,
but
like,
then you still want it to distinctly be called, you still want the credit of it being labeled black music. But I think it's because, the last thing I'll say, but I think it's
yeah.
because, again, I'm not in the country industry. My introduction to like the only black person I know that has like openly participated in country music and been successful is Darius Rucker.
Hootie. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I remember when he was out, like there was a lot of like undertones of racism, but it just so
Sure.
happened that they had hit records. So like there was only but so much pushback that they could get. So if the reclaiming of the music is it because black people were forced out? Was it on some Elvis stuff where there were black country artists and the music was being stolen from them? So like, what is the end goal? And I'm asking this rhetorically, but what is the
Yeah.
end goal of what, if we're reclaiming black music, what do we want it to look like? What do we want it to sound like? What do we want it? How do we want to present it so that the reclamation is there? I don't even know if reclamation is a word, but
Yeah, I know what you mean. I
yeah.
mean, I think like what was interesting about like Darius Rucker getting in the country is like he kind of went in the reverse way, right? So, in the from the 80s into the 90s and into the 2000s, country music became more rock like. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's how my parents got into it. You know, my parents were born in the, in 63 and 64. So they graduate high school in the early 80s. Like growing up, there was a lot of like hair metal and like that kind of rock around my house, right? And then that big arena rock gets twanged up basically and adopted. That's what Garth
Mm,
did. That's what Shania did,
that's
right? Like
right.
they made it a little, they countryfied it, but it's the same
Same
big
spirit.
arena stage show, etc.
Remember those music videos
Yeah, yeah,
were
yeah.
always like them performing in front
Yeah,
of 10, 15,
right.
20,000 people. Absolutely.
So country adopts rock, and then Darius Rucker as lead singer for Hootie and the Blowfish is coming. First of all, he's from the South, and he's playing rock, and so he's coming from the Southern. There was always like a Southern rock offshoot, a relationship with country. Anyway, think
Hmm.
about like um, Leonard Skinnerd
Yeah,
and
Clarence
like that
Clearwater
kind of
Revival,
sound.
stuff like that.
Right,
Creedence
right, right.
Clearwater
Not
Revival. Yeah.
quite country, but Southern rock. So he's
Yeah.
already coming from a Southern rock angle. So for him, the on point was right there.
Hmm.
Now, what is Beyonce's on ramp into country music other than she wants to make it? I don't
Right.
know. That's
Right.
interesting to me. Like you can see the on ramp for her into dance music with Renaissance because how intertwined, both in terms of how it's structured and just the influences back and forth it is with all kinds of R&B music, the influences of soul, its relationship with disco, and all kinds of music that she would have been immersed in anyway, and
Hmm.
that she already had a close enough relationship with due to the kind of music she was making already.
Yeah.
But country, that's an interesting jump. I'm
Yeah.
curious.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So release date is March 29th, 27th.
Yeah.
So
She's
we will
gonna
see.
need maybe this is a dumb question in 2024. These two singles aren't just gonna be the only singles, right?
Nah, we got another month and a half. She's definitely
She's
putting
gonna
out more music.
need there's gotta be a record. Like there's gotta be a thing here that's gonna make people go, whoa.
Well, I mean, remember how Act One caught on? It wasn't necessary. Break My Soul
I
wasn't
know.
like the record,
It did well, but like no, I mean Act One caught on because people listened to it and they were like, whoa.
and it was. I think in hindsight, the timing of outside being back open, restrictions
Yeah.
being lifted. I think that played a huge role where now this music, people are celebratory, coming out of quarantine, people have lost family members, all types of stuff due to COVID. And this is like a reclamation of our time,
Yeah.
our goals and all that stuff. And that album served as a soundtrack for that.
Hmm.
Whereas I don't know what this is. to your point, like as we're getting more and more into like niche fan bases, we're seeing bigger artists really lean into their super fans. So Nicki Minaj and her album, Kanye, we'll talk about him in a second with Vultures, and now Beyonce, really like relying on, in a way, relying on the Beehive to, at least carry this into whatever it's going to be, because there's more questions than answers.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I do have a question for you, Doc, if you don't have
Yeah,
anything
yeah,
else to
yeah.
say to what I just responded
No,
to.
no, no, no.
So this is a hot take for me. This actually
Okay.
isn't a question. This is a hot take that I have, and I want to
Sure.
know if you
It's more
if
of a
you agree.
comment than a question. Yeah, I
Yeah, there
got
you
it.
go. More of a comment. So Beyonce's going to tour this record.
I guess. Yeah. We'll see.
Is this the opportunity? Because I'm thinking about her body, her needing to
Sure.
rest, all
I
that
know where you're
stuff,
going.
right? In theory,
Mm-hmm.
it would make sense to do like Grand Ole Opry, sitting on a stool with a guitar, very much a slowed down show. But the very strong rumor is that she will be doing a residency at the Sphere in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So how does that work when you are making your we'll just say hypothetically if this happens, because I do think
Sure.
the fact that the Sphere had a commercial with Patrick Mahomes for Adidas. I believe she was in the Sphere in the Verizon commercial. I do think that teasing is happening, and I do think that based off of what I know about the Sphere, and like they're going to need somebody to like get people into that space.
That's right.
And we talked about Usher, and I think the Usher residency only held a couple hundred or a couple thousand people, right?
Yeah, it was pretty small. Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
small. Whereas like if Beyonce does a residency, she can't do a residency where only 1,500, 3,000, 5,000 people are in there every night. No way.
Mm.
It would have to be a little bigger. Is this the opportunity for her to do that, despite the fact that she is gearing up to release what I would consider to be her most ambitious record to date? So I did ask the question.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing, right? Like you could talk yourself into like, um, if it's going to be stripped down, does the Sphere lend itself to that? Right?
Correct.
Maybe it's just like her, like super simple on stage, but like the visuals are like all encompassing around you. Maybe a different kind of a situation.
Absolutely.
Um, yeah, that's interesting, right? Because you could residency could be one way to go for sure. I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. I think the floodgates, we talked about this with New Edition and Jodeci, but I do think the floodgates are opening for another big artist, even a bigger artist, to do a residency. And I think that Beyonce is the perfect category for residency. She's got the catalog, she's got the longevity. She can pull in those people every night who are going to Vegas. She would make a ton of money doing it.
Mm.
It just makes sense. And it's like, but is now the time to do that? And if so, how do you go about it?
Honestly, this country record, to me, it's such a risk. It's fascinating.
It's a risk, but it's not a risk.
I really think it's a risk.
I'll tell you why it's not
Okay.
a risk.
Yeah.
Because we're in a time where, like, if it don't work, you can just spin the block and do something else very quickly.
Sort of, but like, Jay got up on stage. He worked the refs. They're going to push. They're going to push.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
So this album has to like deliver.
But if they do that, and you said it, that Jay's speech was 100% a part of the rollout, and I agree.
Yeah. I'm not saying that it was like written on a whiteboard somewhere, but like he's thinking about it, obviously,
Yeah, I think it was written on. Beyonce's way too calculated. It was 100% written on a whiteboard. Did you hear that story about Jay? He was going to concede his time for Killer Mike, but Killer Mike had gotten arrested.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. It's what Killer Mike got on the Breakfast Club and said that. Um, but no, as calculated as Beyonce is, that's 100%. All right, hey, the Grammys, reach out to the Grammys and see if we're willing to go.
Mm.
What can they conjure up to give us as a reason to go? Outside of Renaissance being album of the year, because we're not just about to sit up here and y'all put the cameras on us every 5 seconds. One of us has to touch a stage.
Yeah.
Let Jay do it. Let him advocate for his wife.
Right.
If in the event that she doesn't win, let's set the stage, because to me, they have to believe that they have an album that is worthy of being nominated.
Right.
They wouldn't do that if they didn't think that they could throw the oop. They could make the take the shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know.